Today I'm going to cover about the brushes. So these are the most common brush I use. I rarely use flat brush, only if it's needed, but I'm comfortable using round brushes. So I'm going to go through how I paint, the way I select my brush, and the reasons why I select what I select. So today we're going to go through a synthetic, a Japanese calligraphy brush, and a regular mop brush. So stick around. It's not about the size of the brush, but generally the application, why I would use a calligraphy brush over a mop over a synthetic. Stick around and we'll go through that. I just want to talk about three types of main brushes I use. You could add in a flat brush as well, but I don't use flat brush much. Maybe I will do another video about flat brush versus a round brush. Within the round brush, the most commonly used, especially for watercolor, are a mop and a synthetic. But I am at the moment enjoying, as I said, Japanese calligraphy brush or Chinese calligraphy brush. So I don't know what the make is. I just bought them a street vendor from Malaysia. So why I choose those brush? First of all, let's just go. It's very light, so you could argue about the other two things. But also the profile itself is very small. I can go right up the edge like writing, and it holds the water, a lot of water, like a mop. And when you look at it, there's two different types of hair. The one in the center, if you notice that, most of the brushes are designed in such a way that the longer hair will give you a pointy edge, and there's extra, I think this is a sheep hair, will hold volume. Really clean. So I'm just wetting the brush at the moment, and I can see very clean, very sharp edge. So if I pick up a little bit of pigment, so extremely a lot of water, so I can do very loose, really a lot of water, and I can pick up really clean lines. Okay, that's the beauty about having a really small brush. You could literally write something like a pen and hold enough volume. Okay, that's why, especially for painting like this, I prefer this one. And then if you're using mops are fantastic. It's a fantastic all-rounder, not for detailing. So as I said, when I wet the brush, this one is Pro Arte number 2. When I wet the brush, I can see clearly there's a lot of water. The brush itself is not heavy, but it's not very comfortable to hold, especially when you're doing a detail. You could argue I'm comfortable holding this, but especially for eye or very small details, you want to go very close. And with a wire tightening, this is not a clean brush. So same thing, if I pick up a little bit of water, huge amount of water, look at that. It's a lot more than this brush. And you could argue I can do really fine lines, but it's not consistent, or it's not consistent for a beginner. Let's say that one. Compared to that, you will get the probability of you getting right for a smaller angle is a lot more in a Japanese or Chinese calligraphy brush than a mop. There's exception to rules, but not this one. The third one, which is a lot of people prefer, is just a synthetic brush, very stiff. Might be perfectly fine for a rooster or an image, what I did right now, but very stiff, very little water, and depending on the type of brush, you might do really thin line, but this one, when you look at it, it is a chunky fat line. Difficult to control, but places where you want to have more control, a stiffer brush is much more needed. So if you're a beginner, if you're starting, I would start with a synthetic brush like this, maybe a little softer hair, but you want to have a set of mop and in my case, a few of the Japanese calligraphy brush. You don't need too many brushes because for a video, all I do is a quarter sheet. You could do a lot with just one or two types of brushes. And back to the video. Hope you had the video gave you some glimpse of why I choose to use more of a calligraphy brush these days. Mop are excellent for covering vast areas, but when you want a combination of a sharp tip and the capability of mop, I feel uh, a calligraphy brush is unbeatable in this place. More and more, I've been looking at artists who are using calligraphy brush, but depends on your experience. If you're used to using lots of synthetic brush, please feel free to use. This is my analogy of why I would pick a calligraphy brush these days over a mop and a synthetic brush. So that one is number one, number two, and number three. Again, depends on case by case scenario, but generally 90% of my work is done with a different sizes of a calligraphy brush, and it's a mop. And I rarely go to synthetic wear, especially when I'm doing illustrations. I tend to go with synthetic, but mainly much smaller brushes, not the size I'm holding for the camera. I hope you had some benefit going through this video. If you're new to the video, help me out, subscribe and like this video. Till next time, keep watercoloring and thanks. Bye.